Hi, it's Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. Today I thought I would share with you some new Christian fiction books that are coming out this winter that I am most interested in reading. There'll be quite a few historical books on this list because I'm personally in the mood at the moment for reading Christian historical fiction, and there seems to be the ones that I'm gravitating to at the moment. This is between December 2025 and February 2026, so that's the bit we're looking at. Let me know in the comments if there's any books you know that are coming up that are going to be out in the winter time that you are most excited to read. These books, I might not read them when they first come out, but at some point I might like to read them. So let's have a look. In December, there is a book called Not Exactly Mr. Darcy by Carolyn Miller. This is described as Pride, Pemberley and Second Chances. When history-loving Olivia Bennet's teaching contract isn't renewed, she's considered her family's logical choice to care for her ailing grandmother in a tiny English village. So she goes there, gets work at Hartbury Hall, one of England's great houses, once used as a Pemberley in a filmed production of Pride and Prejudice. And the head gardener proves to be anything but a gentlemanly hero of the famous book. Along the way, she may just learn that appearances count for naught and that love can be found in unexpected ways. So I think this sounds like it's a sort of Pride and Prejudice retelling, contemporary, I think, even though it's set in like a stately home. This one is, I don't believe, is a historical fiction. I think this is contemporary romance, but the setting sounded good to me. I like Jane Austen, and yeah, sounds like one that I might enjoy at some point. Then there's Dastardly Deeds Down on the Farm by Cynthia, Hickey, Linda Baten Johnson, Teresa, Ives, Lilly and Janice Thompson. I have read these novellas by, I think it's the same authors each time. They are collections of 4 different cozy mystery type novellas, Christian ones, and this one is going to be all set around farms. So I not long ago read one that was set around bookshops. I think there's been something to do with jigsaw puzzles, tea shops. This one is going to be farms. The first story is a hog farm turns chaotic when her prized hog vanishes before the county fair. And then a lady returns from university to a home on the farm until the day the dairy cows become seriously ill and the vet is murdered in the barn. Third one is April is transforming her homestead into an egg farm with an Airbnb, trying to keep the town's realtor, Jeff Barr, from taking over the property, but when Jeff is found dead by the chicken coop, April must solve the murder. And the final one is Jessie responds to an ad to breed her thoroughbred mare, but it turns into disaster when the horse goes missing while in the care of the breeder. So that sounds like cozy mysteries. Doesn't sound like every one of them is murder mystery, but they might be later on into it. But I've enjoyed those ones. I like the style. I like it's fairly light, and there is some faith in those, the ones I've read before. And then finally in December, Julie Klassen has another book coming out called Whispers at Painswick Court, and she is an author that I have really enjoyed, so I'm hoping to pick up all her books at some point. And this one is following a surgeon's daughter who is determined to live a single, useful life. To escape her matchmaking stepmother, she accepts an invitation from an old friend to return to Painswick, the place she and her sister spent many happy summers until that last fateful year. So she's going to stay in a country house, and yeah, sounds like there are secrets to do with that whole house from now and the past. I definitely want to read that one at some point. I enjoy that author's books. Then in January, there is Beyond the Clouds by Elizabeth Camden. I read the first, I think this is the first book in that series. I didn't read the second one yet, so this is the third book, I think. And yeah, I probably need to read the second one first. But this one is teenagers Delia and Finn fell in love while flying kites and dreaming of a future together until betrayal tore them apart. Now, as America enters World War One, Delia works for peace as a paralegal and pacifist. Her values forbid her from supporting the war effort, but she volunteers for a relief organisation trying to save millions of lives in famine-stricken Belgium. And Finn returns to America as a decorated war hero, eager to get back to the front, but is assigned to use his fame to raise funds instead. And that brings them back face to face with each other again. So there's a conflict of beliefs there, I think. That would be an interesting one. I like Elizabeth Camden, again, historical fiction. I've liked the series that I've read from her before, so yeah, I want to continue with that series. In February, there's some books by authors that I have not read, and because I'm reading quite a bit of historical fiction at the moment, I thought it would probably be good for me to branch out into some different time periods, some different authors, but still in the Christian fiction category. So we have Ambush of the Heart by Mary Connealy. I haven't read anything by this author, but her name comes up frequently of books coming out. This is following Owen, who and his fellow marshals escort Delaney, her brother and escaped prisoner, to Fort Russell. A gang of outlaws ambushes them, bringing death and devastation to their party. With their lives on the line and outlaws in pursuit, Owen directs the rest of his battered group to temporarily seek hiding at a remote ranch. It's described as a wild adventure of love, faith, courage, and resilience in the rugged wilderness of 1870s Colorado. I haven't read anything in that sort of vein for a while, so that might be one I might try from hers. And then Sarah Sundin, another author that I hear a lot about and see a lot of her books coming up. She's a wartime writer, I think, mostly. Mists Over the Channel Islands is her book that's coming up. I have been to the Channel Islands. I know a little bit about the history of that during wartime and how it was occupied, so I think that might be really interesting. This is following Dr. Ivy, whose peaceful world is shaken with the German invasion of the Channel Islands, and she's shouldering the weight of her father's medical practice, holding together a family. She has a quiet allegiance to the Allies, which compels her to risk everything. And then there's Dutch engineer and resistance member Gerrit van der Zee, who volunteers to build fortifications for the Germans so he can secretly send maps and diagrams to the Allies. So this looks like a historical romance set during the World War in the occupied Channel Islands, which I think would be a really interesting time period to read about. Then there's An Unconventional Lady by Sarah E. Ladd. One woman works to expose a scientific fraud while also finding love in the latest sweet Regency romance. She faces the worst ultimatum possible for a woman: marry a man she detests or lose the future she's always imagined. So Ella, is running a school for girls, and it is being threatened to be taken away, passed into the hands of a distant cousin, unless she marries someone who she doesn't want to marry. Yeah, that sounds like it will be an interesting story. I think I like that time period. I like Regency romance, and when there's other things going on, it's even better as well, sort of added in. And then finally, the final book I've got is Taming Lady Temperance by Carolyn Witemeyer. I have read some of her books before, enjoyed them. The time period is not something I would naturally be drawn to, but I do want to try more in those ones because I am enjoying the historical books a bit more than contemporary at the moment. So this one is following Noreen O'Sullivan, who is an enthusiastic member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union and believes herself called to defend the cause of prohibition. Her passionate campaigning often puts her at odds with the men around her, including the local deputy. And then Deputy James Paxton believes in preserving the peace, but Miss O'Sullivan has been disturbing his peace for months. James wants to be elected sheriff and therefore can't afford to be seen as her ally. So their own goals obviously putting them at odds with each other. I'm not sure when this one is set or where. Maybe you can tell me where you think it is from the picture on the cover. It looks like maybe Texas. I don't know. Let me know in the comments that one. Yeah, so those are some books that I have looked at, may possibly want to read in the future. Let me know in the comments which books you are most looking forward to reading this winter, and I'll catch up with you again soon. Okay, I hope you're having a great reading week. If you'd like to see any more Christian fiction videos, you can watch these over here. Until next time, God bless. Bye.